Hey folks, John Franklin Reviewer here, and I have another anniversary movie. And my movie that I'm going to be talking about is 50 years old. This is the highest anniversary one so far here. We are talking about Night of the Living Dead. Okay, October 1st of 1968. Like I said, 50 years ago this movie came out. So what exactly is this movie about? It is about a handful of people stuck in a farmhouse trying to stay alive against a bunch of zombies that's around the perimeter. So what exactly did I like about this movie here? Well, let's start with the characters. The first character I want to talk about is a character named Ben. He's a tall black guy, probably as tall as me, maybe even a little taller. I'm about 6'1" or not. And the thing is that this guy was a real badass when he needed to be. This guy was a sensitive to other characters when he really needed to be. And I actually liked it. This actor had range, and that's always what you want to get from those kind of characters. You want to get that range going on there, and I love that about them. Another character that I really liked was a character, he was an older gentleman, maybe say, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s, character named Harry. Well, Harry was pretty much the asshole of this film, and that actor plays it so perfectly for the time. Honestly, you kind of look back and you think, well, you know, you gotta have your assholes or anything, and I think this guy nailed it perfectly, like I mentioned. Now, also, I want to mention his wife, Helen, who, okay, she really doesn't bring a lot to this movie, but her acting performance is why I'm putting her in this. I really believe a lot of the stuff that comes out of her mouth. I feel like that really the biggest time that she really shines is that there's a scene where her and Harry are in a basement where they were hiding in this house. And she starts yelling and screaming about a TV, a radio. There's actually other survivors upstairs and all that kind of stuff. And she really gets down and dirty with her attitude towards her husband, and I really actually like that, and that was probably her best scene. Now, also about this older couple here, that they actually have a sick little girl in the basement there. Now, even though this movie is 50 years old, I do not want to give any spoilers away, especially for the younger people who may or may not have actually seen this film here. If you've seen it, you know it. Because also another thing I want to kind of go into again without saying anything spoiler is that something about this little girl happens in Act 3, and I was really shocked about. It was unspeakable back then, and I'm sure even now, if there was a kid that did something that this kid did in this movie, it would still be unbelievable that that kid did that kind of thing. So I really applaud the girl, even though she really doesn't speak or anything. Actions speak louder than words, and she does a good job. So definitely a thumbs up on that little girl there. You know, I thought the zombies were really cool. One thing I liked about these zombies, some of them could have just been that passed away like hours ago, you know, days ago and all that kind of stuff. Most of them still had their skin. There was a couple of them that may have had something like maybe some of their skin was peeling off and all of that. Most of them were really just there, you know, just died, and they're doing what they gotta do, and they need brains, they need to kill people to stay alive. And I really thought the zombies did a good job. Now, what really made me laugh, I read something about this, little known fact is that every zombie in this movie, again, this movie came out in '68, all got $1 to perform in this movie because they really didn't have any lines or anything like that. So that made me laugh. But of course, 1968, I'm sure $1, you know, went by a lot more than it actually does now. But that just kind of made me laugh on it. That if you were a zombie, you got paid $1. I don't think it was like $1 a day. I think it was $1 for how many days that they shot this film. So other stuff I really like, I mentioned about the zombies and stuff. Now this was directed by George A. Romero. Now if I'm correct that this writer-director actually passed away not this past summer, but 2 summers ago, he passed away. And I gotta be honest, it was definitely a sad moment because he's actually a Pittsburgh boy, and I gotta be honest with me, you know, lived back in Pittsburgh many years ago. You know, any of those kind of actors always will make me, you know, more sad because they were always a local boy or even a local girl. But George A. Romero also co-wrote this with somebody else. The storyline in this movie was perfect. I don't say that about too many movies, but this was really a great script. It was just some of these actors that really needed to bring it up a little bit more to almost make it nearly a perfect movie, I gotta be honest with there. Okay, so I gotta say that I'm talking about the script. I thought this was a great paced film. I really loved everything. I really didn't ever really get bored with this movie, which was really good. Now, back in the old days, this movie came out in black and white. Now, if you bought the movie on DVD like I did, you actually had the option to watch the original way in black and white, or you can watch it in color. Now, honestly, I feel like, trust me when I say this, I think if you watch this movie in color, you're giving yourself and the movie a disservice. I feel like you have to watch it the original black and white. If you watch it in color, that's fine, that's your choice. I'm just saying, I think it was a lot more scarier for it to be black and white. Especially because a movie really doesn't show blood and all that. What would really be the point of showing it in color, except, hey, the movie's in color now after all these years. So now let's get to the negatives. Okay, so once again, let's get to our characters here. Definitely I got to talk about the two worst characters. With the older couple I mentioned, there was a younger couple named Tom and Judy. They were the worst actors. I felt like that, again, with a great script, I felt like that they kind of brought the script, they brought their characters down along a little bit with the script by their acting. I feel like that they tried their best and then they just fell on their faces, honestly. I mean, it was just the dialogue, I didn't believe of anything that came out of their mouth, the reactions about certain things that they see on TV, about the certain things that they see with the zombies and all of that, when they interact with them, it was just like, it was laughable. And I also have to mention the second main character in here was a character named Barbara. Now, at the very beginning of the film, her and her brother Johnny, they're going to the cemetery to see their father. Now, they're driving all the way from Pittsburgh, so they're actually right outside of Pittsburgh to bring flowers and a cross and a wreath and all that. And the thing is that with Johnny, he's only in it for about 10 minutes. He's like the first victim that dies. So there really wasn't much to really talk about him. But after he dies, Barbara has to run away from the one zombie that took out her brother. And once she starts interacting with other people, she really doesn't talk much. She's in constant shock. I get it. She just lost a family member. She lost her brother. But honestly, I felt like that I wanted to see something almost like, and okay, I'm going to be completely off on this, I'm sure, but I would have loved to see her be one of these badass characters that kind of comes back from out of the shadows, has a shotgun, finds a shotgun in this farmhouse, and starts blasting away zombies. A lot different doing it maybe now compared to 68, but I would have loved to see something where maybe she becomes brave again. And really, and whenever she does start talking, it's all mumbo jumbo. She talks about what happened with her brother Johnny and about her and all that, and it just gets annoying real fast listening to her dialogue. Again, more dialogue I thought was good, but I felt like that she could have pumped it up a lot better, more believable than she was. There were times that she was believable, and there were times that she was it just felt like she almost didn't want to be in the movie, or it just felt that way, I don't know. And then the last negative thing I want to mention is Ben again. He was the first thing I mentioned about the positives, but the one problem, just a little gripe about this character was we get a little bit of a background from almost everybody, from Barbara to all the older couple, the younger couple and all that, except Ben. We really don't get a whole lot about this guy. I mean, he's just someone who was driving through a town, sees these zombies and all that, but we don't know personally who this guy is. Because like I said, this guy seemed like he was a decently good fighter. He was smart at what he did. I mean, this guy could have been a cop, could have been someone who was in the army, an FBI agent, CIA. He was just such a smart guy, but I just wanted to know more about this guy. So that was definitely one thing there that, I said, a little gripe for me. I wanted to know more about the character here. Now, bottom line, this was, a great movie with great actors, most of them here. Great story, directed very well, loved the zombies and all that, loved the location and all that. There really wasn't a whole lot, like I said, of negatives I could really say about this movie. I thought it was just nearly a perfect movie. Now, what is my rating of this movie here? Even for a movie that's 50 years old, this movie still kept my attention, still loved a lot of scenes in this film, mentioned about the pacing and all of that. I'm going to go 3.5 out of 4 stars. So I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this anniversary movie. This movie is Night of the Living Dead. If you like this review, give me a comment down below. What did you think about this movie? If it's something you saw, or is it something that maybe you've seen previews for and you thought it doesn't look good? Give me your comments down on there. If you like my anniversary video, please give me a like down there. Please subscribe. I do appreciate that. And as always, stay awesome.